If there's anything definite about superheroes in the MCU, it's that they're most likely part of a superhero team, and it just happens to be that Ultraman already has a superhero team. In the original series, Ultraman is one of 6 brothers that represent the core Ultras in the series, similar to how the Avengers are the core superheroes of Marvel. In this video, we illustrate all 6 members of the Ultra Brothers as they would appear in the MCU. In my version of what Ultraman and his 6 Ultra Brothers would look like in the MCU, UltraSeven would be the eldest of the 6 Ultra Brothers except for UltraMan Sophie, who would be 1,000 years older, which is about a year in Ultra reckoning. UltraSeven would be the most proficient of the 6 in hand-to-hand and weapons combat, often falling back on his eye slugger, the blade atop his helm that can double as a boomerang-type device or as a handheld axe knife, to help win the fight. He'd be trained by Ultraman Khan, that is the father of Ultra in the MCU, personally, as would all of the 6 be, but since he is the oldest except for Sophie, he has had the most training. He would also be trained by Ultraman Leo and Astra, 2 master martial artists who helped to develop a new technique of martial arts specifically for Ultra use against powerful beings such as Kaiju, that is giant monsters, Titans, like Thanos, aliens, and other Ultras. He would also be an expert in subterfuge and other covert operations. UltraSeven would be an expert in alien anatomy, having studied it intensely in order to figure out how to exploit an alien's weak spot in combat. He would also do extensive research into the fighting styles of each of his targets, looking for easily exploitable weak points. In the MCU, his role would be more than just an Ultra warrior, traveling like a wanderer throughout the universe and fighting evil wherever they find it. He would be an assassin for the Empire of Light, taking out warlords that the Empire of Light deems an immediate threat, sort of like Ultraman Belial. In a universe as big as the MCU, I would imagine that there would be millions of threats like these, which could explain why the Ultras would not have gone after Thanos. After all, he was not that big of a threat until he managed to get his hands on all 6 Infinity Stones, which were previously thought to have been secure for the most part. UltraMan Jack is the youngest of the brothers, and looks up to his older brother, UltraMan, which could explain why his suit looks so much like his older brother's. He is the most inexperienced of the 6, but he is also the most bold of the group, charging headfirst to save the day when all the others would be hesitant. His sword and shield are inspired by the Ultra Lance and Ultra Defender from his original series, The Return of Ultraman. UltraMan Sophie is the oldest of the 6 Ultra Brothers, and is the leader of the group. He is a master of strategy, and knows exactly how to exploit the strengths of each of his 5 brothers in order to enact the most effective victory. And he knows how to exploit the weaknesses of his enemies to create their most crushing defeat. I could see this version of UltraMan Sophie being much like Grand Admiral Thrawn from Star Wars. Like Thrawn, he would spend most of his spare time studying the psychology of other species in order to figure out how to best exploit them in combat. A hobby that would be inspired by UltraSeven's study of alien anatomy. Sophie is also fiercely patriotic, willing to go to any lengths for the Empire of Light. He views Ultras as superior to all other races, and seeks to recreate the Empire of Light's expansive efforts, in spite of his father, Ultraman Khan's efforts to keep the Empire of Light free from its war-ridden past. UltraMan Ace in the MCU would be an expert in technology, utilizing it to almost magical levels. His suit is the most powerful of all his brothers due to his technological enhancements, and it can make incredible use of the specium energy inherent in all Ultra's anatomy, as well as the extra boost of specium energy applied by their beta capsules used to power their suits that makes them truly superhuman level strong. He would be the youngest of the group except for Jack. He would also have been an adopted son, unlike his 5 brothers. But unlike Odin and Loki, that fact would not have been something that Khan hid from Ace. UltraMan Torro in the MCU would be the third oldest of the group, being younger than Seven but older than UltraMan, who is older than Ace and Jack. In the MCU, UltraMan Torro would be physically stronger than all of his brothers, being able to take the most damage and give the most damage as far as brute force goes. His specium powers are converted to literal firepower, giving him explosive abilities, much like the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, I hope you would consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to JPzilla. And what do you think of the 6 Ultra Brothers in the MCU? Do you think they would be like I have described them here, or different? What do you think the 6 Ultra Brothers would look like in the MCU? Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below.